Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground is brought to you by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund.
The history of the Cayuna Iron Range started with Kyler Adams finding iron ore in and around the vicinity here. And that was in the late 1800s, about 1892. He then got together some people that had some money and figured out where they were going to have iron ore mines and where they found the good ore and the bad ore. Along with that, when that happened, a guy by the name of George Crosby had been up on the other iron ranges and saw how bad the people were living and the conditions were so bad. So he went ahead and laid out the city of Crosby, which was named for him, with all the streets and the sidewalks, water, sewer, and electricity. And you can see what used to be known as Honeymoon Row. They're a small house that the miners could go ahead and either buy or rent. And they'd have enough room for a small family. The lot would be big enough where they could go ahead and have a garden or have a cow or a pig in their backyard or whatever. And as things progressed, in 1910, the Soo Line Railroad came in here to haul the iron ore out. And at that time, they built the depot that we're sitting in. This depot was built in 1910, and now it's 100 years old. The only thing it's ever been is a railroad depot or a museum. It's on the National History of Historic Buildings, so it can't be altered or changed too terribly much at all. And we are still, the heritage part of it, is still writing a lot of, if nothing else, small books pertaining to the history of the Cayuna Iron Range and other projects that we've had going on. The reason why the depot was so important here and the railroads, the general highways and roadways were very poor at that time. There were very few cars and trucks, and so everything had to go out by rail or come in by rail. The mine companies would go ahead and have people standing on the shore of Lake Superior where the immigrant boats would come in, and they'd have a big sign that would say, you know, they've got work. Mine companies would actually pay the railroad to transport them from Superior, Wisconsin, over to Crosby, where they then went ahead and went to work for the mines. People came from all over Europe, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and that's what basically made up the people in the city of Crosby on the Cayuna Iron Range. The iron ore was first found middle 1890s. And when it started into production, it was a good, rich ore, and they had an easy transportation by railroad from here to Lake Superior, to city of Superior and Duluth, to haul the iron ore out and back over to the East Coast where they would, you know, smelt it down and whatever. It started out with a few small underground mines, and it eventually turned into a lot of open pit mines. Some of those are as much as 400 feet deep. Now they're filled with water and they're lakes, and they will probably never ever be mining that type of mining up here again. The Cayuna Country Heritage was an organization that was basically into keeping up with history. Basically, it's trying to maintain the town itself. We've had a number of different industries in here. Scorpion Snowmobile was built up here. It adds to the celebration of the town. And, you know, the different businesses that have put forth a good effort to go ahead and maintain and celebrate the fact that the city of Crosby is 100 years old. The Cayuna Country Heritage took over the Soo Line Depot Museum as part of our historical society. And that is how the Heritage Group became involved with the Soo Line Depot. Being able to go ahead and move some things around in here and clean things up and make it a very pleasant atmosphere for people to come in and see. We have a number of interesting items in here. One of them, that was kind of a project, how I got involved with it, was Project Man High, the first man to the edge of space. And the Cayuna Country Heritage went ahead and had an individual that was an artist duplicate the capsule that Dr. David Simons was in when he left the bottom of the Portsmouth mine, which was about 400 feet deep at that time, and rose to 101,000 feet above the earth and was up there for 32 hours before successfully coming back down again. The capsule is about 3 feet in diameter and about 7 feet tall, and it was hooked onto a plastic balloon that was 280 feet long and contained 3 million cubic feet of helium. And so that's one of the new things that we've put in here. In 2007, it was the 50th anniversary of the Man High project. And so we had a celebration, and Dr. Simons was still alive, and he came up here for it. But we have so many other items in here that are very noteworthy. We have Kyler Adams' rock collection. We have a lot of iron ore samples that were obtained from the assayers' offices when the mines were closed up and were no longer in business.
This is Kyler Adams' rock collection. He was a big rock hound, and minerals, you know. They're from all over the world. And a lot of them from Germany and England and Brazil, Austria. Now this is his dip needle. The dip needle he used when he discovered the ore. It was like a big compass. You know, he held it down like this, and then when it pointed downward, magnetic. So he knew there was something down there. Then they knew where to drill, see? Otherwise they wouldn't know where to drill. And Matt Crosby had two of them too, we got here over here. We've got a little of everything, I guess, in here. Now this is Crosby in 1913. First building was erected in 1910. And this shows, I think it's from the water tower. It's heading pretty much west on this picture. And the main highway, Highway 210, would be along here, going past the Spalding Hotel and over this way. And this is Ironton over here. I think it might be about the same time. The old high school. And the depot was over here. And the city hall would be right in here. City hall. And we had an old railroad line that went through there.
By having the museum and the Heritage Group, we work very hard at trying to preserve what's here and document what happened in and around this area. You take a look around, and the heritage of the people that grew up here and lived here with the multinationalities, and if you don't have people that are still here and their kids grow up here and stay here, your town withers and dies. And pretty soon you're running a bulldozer through all the very historic buildings that are still in town. And we still have a number of buildings that go back to the very early 1900s. And the buildings are preserved like our depot is. It's 100 years old, and it don't look too bad. And it's, you know, something that's well worth celebrating.
If you enjoyed this segment of Lakeland Public Television's Common Ground, consider making a contribution at lptv.org. If you have segment ideas pertaining to North Central Minnesota, contact us at legacy@lptv.org. Common Ground is funded by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund by the vote of the people on November 4th, 2008.